like I came from this super intense crypto native, background, but even in there, the leads knew nobody's going to adopt this. Like we can't see real adoption of this technology unless we make it simple and we make it secure. And so that's where it, like, we literally spent 9 months just talking and just thinking through what it means to have all of this that we love and we care about, but then package it in a way that everybody else can use it.
Welcome back to AlgoHQ. I'm here with Gwin and Doug, the CEO and COO of Vendible Labs. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hello.
Thanks a ton, Ibu. Great to see you again.
Yeah. We met at Decipher, and it was like a really quick passing meeting, but I've heard of your project multiple times. I was really glad when you reached out and you wanted to jump on. So I think the first thing is can we just get a quick, I'll go to you, Gwin, a quick overview of what Vendible is, the idea of it, and then Doug, you follow up, and we'll get into the details later on. But let's just give the audience what's the first rundown.
Yeah, so Vendible, we're trying. Our goal is to protect consumers' data. That's really the high levels in a really private and secure manner. So that's exactly what we're trying to do. Algorand is really our core and really central nervous system that we want to build it on. So that's the issue that we're trying to address at the high level. Okay. Doug's going to have some more thought on that, but that's the easiest way for people to understand what we're doing.
Yeah, Doug, what about you? What's your view on the project?
Yeah, so if we dive deeper a little bit, when blockchain technology first came out, this was supposed to be internet payments between unknown, untrusted parties. But what has happened is it works. And so we're now seeing adoption. But we are now up against, in the technology adoption life cycle, we're at this chasm point where we have this core of early adopters that are really passionate about this, but then we have 90% of the people that have no idea about this technology. And on top of that, the problem is also they really don't want to interface with the technology either. They really just want to see the benefits from it. And so there's a gap and a few gaps really, but one of the main ones that we want to address is confidentiality. So right now, if I purchased an NFT from you, you then have my public address. With my public address, you also have view into the state and activity of my assets.
Right.
Now, not just right now, but in the past and in the future. And there's not another payment system that works this way. And there's a massive amount of people that will never accept that because it's too intrusive. And then also, if we look at self-sovereign systems, everybody wants to, all of us crypto natives, we really want self-sovereignty, but nobody else really does, if I'm being truly honest. They would like more control over this, but there is massive amounts of fear around controlling my keys, all of my identity data, and what happens, oh my goodness, what happens if I lose it? If I'm fully self-sovereign over all of my assets and I lose the keys, I don't have any assets anymore. And so we started working on mechanisms for adoption back in 2017. We started talking to Algorand as early as 2019 about this. And so the way that we work is, as a caveat, we know these are issues because businesses don't build on Algorand. Businesses don't build directly on Ethereum because they understand how foolish it can be to expose our data to our trade partners that know each other. So that's why they always choose a hyperledger, they always choose a quorum or a permission sidechain. So what we want to do is we want to, like Gwin said, we want to protect individuals and consumers' data, but we also want businesses to choose Algorand, to build on Algorand. So the way we do that is we have to marry two things. We have to be compliant, but we also have to be confidential. So anyone who comes into our wallet infrastructure, they go through a KYC process, so we get to know them. So that's individual or business. But I say we, but it's really the wallet. So Vendible, we can't see any data, we can't see any of your assets or anything, just like anybody else. So once you're validated, that data comes back to you. It gets broken up and stored and encrypted in our data layer. So only you can access that data, nobody else, but you can choose to share this if you want to. And so we've got this whole data mechanism on one side. And on the other side, what we're building is essentially privacy preserving mechanisms for payments. So when I show you my QR code, so you can send me a payment, or I want to make a deposit, that's not my public address. So this isn't my public address. It goes into our liquidity vaults, and then we issue you a credit on a ledger. And then in between those vaults and the wallet, we're building a set of smart contracts that we call the transaction manager and the key manager. And so any payment is simply a request to this manager, and the manager will start to, without knowing who you are, they're going to look and see, is that identity valid? Is the recipient's identity valid? Are there any country code issues we need to address? Is there any exchange? And if so, what's the fee? And then it just updates credits on the ledger rather than moving the UTXOs around. So it becomes highly efficient, but at the same time, those requests from the wallet, those updates on the credit ledger do not tie back to your public address or the recipient's public address. So, but because of the identity data layers, if I send you a payment in your wallet, it says Doug, because we're connected, we know each other. So internally, it's very personal, and we can connect in really meaningful ways and have messaging systems and social systems. But on the outside to the open network, it's completely private. So there you go.
So you're saying that when you make a payment, like from my wallet, and I want to pay you, Doug, there will be two systems in the middle, one that's a manager and one that's a rekeying mechanism. Am I grasping this correctly?
There's a transaction manager, and that manager will update credits on our ledger that essentially has balances. So let's say that we have, we're on Algorand, so you've got Algo USDCA, you've got our token VEND, or we've got cross-chain into Bitcoin and Ethereum. When you deposit into those vaults, we issue you a credit. So it's really kind of like the way a bank would operate, right? There's no actual dollars in your bank account. It's just a credit that you have at the bank. The bank considers it a debit, and so that balance is really a credit. And so same thing in our wallet, we have this credit ledger. And so if you deposit, a Bitcoin in, then it's just going to show, it's not going to be some sort of wrap token or anything like that. It's just a Bitcoin, because that's what you have. It's in the vault. And so we can start to do some pretty interesting things when we do this. So besides just the confidentiality, so I spoke to some of those fears. And so one of them is, the fear of losing keys. So if we've got our vaults, and we've got this management system, and we've got your identity tied to this, then if you never wrote your seed phrase down, you lost your phone or whatever, we have business processes that we can go back through. So you can, go back to the validator, ID, biometrics, and then there's one little link that we can use. We can do a search through, and then we can, interview you, talk to you about what assets you had and everything, verify that this is you, that was your assets. Yes, we can actually rekey your wallet. So you didn't lose your assets, you didn't lose your data. And so for us, this is a major benefit. And also so there's going to be intra-wallet exchange. And so every single deposit in is like going into a single-sided liquidity pool. So we want, like I said, we want businesses to build on this. We actually want global foreign exchange to happen with our wallet infrastructure. And we want everybody to, in some little way, act as a interbank trader for foreign exchange. And we think that once we hit those types of transactions, that we can blow other yield products out of the water.
Okay, so Gwin, I'm going to pose this question to you. When it comes to this product, it kind of sounds like a blend of DeFi, but it has some of the reliability of CeFi. So, when you talk about something like if someone loses their keys, you can KYC them and interview them so they could talk about what was in their wallet. What kind of brought you guys to this idea where you knew you wanted to combine, the DeFi space, which is difficult to get into for a newcomer, and then like the traditional banking, which is, very welcoming and pretty easy to jump into, how do you market that to different people? Because a lot of crypto natives, they want that, they enjoy that security and that, your keys, your coins, and they're okay with that risk. Even though I still get a lot of messages, for people asking me, hey, I lost my keys, like, how do I get my stuff back? And a lot of my answer every time is, I don't know, like, you can't really. So how do you, when you're marketing this to people, what's your approach to get the crypto natives who love the decentralization and the secrecy and the privacy, and the people who, the majority of people who just want their funds to be safe and, in the bank account? How do you bring those two people together?
Yeah, well, David Garcia at Borderless certainly taught us about the power of community. So we're very obsessed with building that across all channels, because we want to create, awareness about what we're doing and about how we're differentiating ourselves. So we're constantly, looking at that. From a marketing standpoint, we really have kind of three channels. Those true crypto natives in DeFi, there's this whole developer community, and then there's this whole SMB kind of supply chain component. Then those are the three areas of how we'll market ourselves. And then we'll build on, we'll eventually get to the enterprises, although the sales cycles we know are longer. We're not relying on that approach day one, but we need to get, because we're early stage, we need to get the traction on kind of those three areas initially from a how to market ourselves standpoint. So that's kind of how we're looking at it. We, Doug and I were talking the other day, we have certainly multi-tiered revenue opportunities. The rekeying component is just one small piece of it. If you lose $100,000 and we charge you $2,000 or $3,000, whatever the number is, you're going to pay that all day long. So we'll have kind of a tiered approach on that. But we're in heavy build mode right now. We also listen very closely to what the community is asking, like you're saying on the rekey piece, and we want to customize it accordingly. So that gives you kind of three real examples of how we go to market with who we're going to market with. So, and I'm going to jump in for just a moment and talk to you about crypto natives. So I got into blockchain in 2014, but from a research standpoint, and I really got invested in 2016 when proof of stake came along. And that led me into a couple open source groups, but one of them was a privacy cryptocurrency. I'm still a huge, massive supporter of this project. And so I know all about self-sovereignty, privacy, and things like that. I think what most people don't realize about most networks outside of those privacy-focused projects is that this is completely open. There's nothing, as soon as we know anyone that we transact with, there's no privacy anymore. And we have a friend who came from, a government agency that, as far back as, 13 or 14, they began mapping the Bitcoin network. And anytime you register in an exchange and you move off, and then you start to transact, I think people don't realize that they are mapping all these addresses, and these are known, and this is much more traceable than cash. And so Vendible itself is actually much more secure than an open network, much more private. And
the only time that anybody can see any of your information besides the people that you allow to is if you ask us. We have to get your permission to see anything. And without that, you know, we're just like anybody else. We don't have any access into this. We want to be as decentralized as possible. We are creating a foundation so that we as a company can be governed, because we don't want that power. We don't want that type of control. We know that if we're successful at some point, people will come with court orders or with requests to see transactions and stuff. And we will be able to tell them, we actually can't.
I'm just wondering, like, how do you create that privacy on chain? And I'm still like just fascinated by that idea, because I thought, you know, one big thing about blockchain is that the point of it is that it's open and people who use it are cool with that. And you guys are basically trying to take that and say, no, it doesn't have to be that way. We're building a different option. Yeah, I guess, Doug, I'll pass this to you. How do you create that privacy on chain? You may have explained it before, but I'm still trying to I still need to grasp it.
So it's still completely open, right? So let's say I send you 10 algo, right? We can go to an Explorer. We can see that the transaction happened. So everyone can verify that 10 algo was sent to someone else. It's just that they can't see that it came from me or that you received it. So it's really in passing the it's passing the message from the wallet to the smart contract without revealing the keys. So this is it's called privacy preserving smart contracts, and it's fairly new. There's only 1 or 2 projects on the, you know, kind of on the Ethereum or Polygon side that are working on this. So you can only find maybe 10 to 20 research papers out there. It's a new field, but we feel that it's necessary if we're going to reach everybody else.
Right.
And because we never, I came from this super intense crypto native, you know, background, but even in there, the leads knew nobody's going to adopt this. Like, we can't see real adoption of this technology unless we make it simple and we make it secure. And so that's where it, like, we literally spent 9 months just talking and just thinking through what it means to have all of this that we love and we care about, but then package it in a way that everybody else can use it.
Right. And I think another thing is the what's it called? The safety net. You know, if you lose your keys, that's a huge thing. Gwin, you know, in crypto, and then it's like specifically in the Algorand ecosystem, what's something that you think like really needs addressing and like really could have a whole lot of improvement, you know, over time? Like, what's something that maybe you guys are addressing it, or another team, or you just have noticed like a glaring like hole that someone could fill in this early ecosystem?
I mean, I think the possibilities are really endless. You know, I really do. There's so many opportunities, and that's kind of what's exciting to see. It's, you know, the addressable market with what can be built on Algorand is really fascinating. We've been kind of keeping a close watchful eye, as an example, on the ANS/Transaction Lab situation with what's going on there. And that's really fascinating work. And, you know, it's cool to see that. And it's cool to see where there's going to be widespread adoption and who's going to win, and what points of differentiation they have. How are they funded? What are the teams like? So, you know, I think the opportunities are really are endless. And, you know, these announcements, Doug, you had you said something on LinkedIn this morning, I think, about some news kind of in the aqua fish world or something. It was just kind of random. But there's all these different tentacles of where, you know, the possibilities are, where it's going. And I think that we'll see more of those opportunities as we continue just to, you know, to build, market, and scale what we're doing. But, you know, I don't think there's anything really specific. They're coming up with announcements, you know, every day.
Yeah.
There's gonna be cool stuff that maybe a Polygon or Avalanche is doing that Algorand's not, and is somebody gonna just copycat that probably. So we'll see a lot of that.
Yeah.
But first to market. Yep.
What about you, Doug? What about you? Where were you before Vendible?
So I was, like Gwin said, I was a corporate manager at a very large company for a long time, and running large work groups. In my spare time, I was working on my own research projects, and all of them were in the sustainability realm. And so sustainability processes and what can it, and applying all of them to the same sort of principles, which is how can I relieve concerns from other people, is really kind of what I've been devoted to. And so, whether that's, what can I, all of the concerns around air quality, or water supplies, energy, stuff like that, that's what kind of drives me. And so what I did was I was actually working on a food sustainability project at the same time I was on this. And I just kind of, all of a sudden, I saw an opportunity to alleviate a lot of people's concerns. So we have even in the United States, there's around 25% of our country is considered underbanked, which means there's banks all around us, but they don't use them.
Okay.
And so we've got a quarter of even this, most prosperous country that isn't in the financial system really. They get a check or they get paid in cash, and then they have to pay really heavy fees to interact in our digital currency world that we're in. So, fees to cash the checks, fees to load debit cards, fees to send this money, to friends and family. And,
Right.
Studies say that they're losing 7 to 15% of their earnings just to onboard to digital. It's massive. And so that's why we end up seeing this same group of people falling into debt traps, because their earnings are reduced, and that gets them into these situations where they feel like they don't have a choice because of the situation that they're in. And when people feel like they don't have a choice, they make really bad decisions. And so I am actually applying this to, how can we turn those situations into, instead, well, now I'm earning money just because, and this can become a wealth creation tool. And instead of those debt traps, we can elevate ourselves, and we can, internally in our systems, we can connect with our friends and our family and our communities, and in meaningful ways. And so instead of making those poor choices, which could affect them for the rest of their lives, their families, their communities, people they don't even know, I know this is really, a bit grandiose, but really, how can we apply what we're building here to help as many people as possible sort of rise up together, like raise the tide, so to speak.
Right. Yeah. DeFi is here to make a huge difference. And if people, you explain DeFi to someone who's not even really comfortable using their normal bank, and it's like you're talking in a different language. But if you can simplify it and make it easier to jump into and jump out of, and cheaper too, there's a huge opportunity for people to make passive income that they don't even know exists at the time. You guys talk about building partnerships with companies, and you said you were working in the commodity space before. Like, what kind of companies or large groups, large entities would you want to partner Vendible with, and like kind of what's your vision for like scaling up, and how big or how grand do you guys want to get? I'll pass that to Gwin.
Yeah, in our our own backyard, there's FedEx here. That would be one perfect example of the type of company that we would love to engage with. And they've been at this space for several years, and they're just keeping a watchful eye on the direction that it's going. across multi-channel sort of opportunities, but we kept in touch with them. And then there are other companies that have, like FedEx had Kinko's, which is, hundreds of thousands of business, which is now called FedEx Office, that then have all these other partners and suppliers. And we could save them, millions and millions of dollars through integrating in there with them. So I think there's plenty of opportunities for us on those bigger companies. The challenge is going to be just to make sure that they're ready for what we're doing and they're willing to embrace it and put the resources in, because we can't just wait on them to make a decision. We can be influencers, and part of our business model is kind of being a professional services model or integrator with these large companies when they're ready. But we're not going to force them, and they know that if they don't adapt, that they're missing out. And right now, it'll probably, that's one of the third component is the smaller businesses, where if they're saving 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 a month, that's a big impact to them, and we can see an immediate impact. So going that approach, probably makes most sense. But we will be, the enterprise play, when they're ready, will be another integral part of our model.
So when it comes to a company like FedEx, how do you imagine Vendible can integrate with them? Is it payments? Is it supply chain? Is it data management? All three? How do you think you guys can make an impact, like in a positive way?
Yeah. So just to speak to that, since I was pretty familiar with their processes, so this is kind of the pitch that we give to businesses quite a bit, where if you're using our wallet infrastructure on the back end and you connect in your customers and your suppliers on either side, then you can essentially become a bank for either side of your supply chain. So, and not only that, like I said, anyone who deposits into our system, they begin to receive rewards. So they can, start to see a yield off of these customers' payments, and then they can manage, from the data side, you can manage, the way our system works is, service provider can set up data attributes and schemes, and so when I register for their service, it will say we need to access this. So I say yes, 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 and so what happens is that application can access just those but they can't see anything else. Like, if my health records are there or something else that, I keep private, they need to operate. And so with our systems, we can, eliminate processes, which cuts cost, and we create new revenue streams so that they don't have to take that data that they're because today what they do is they take all of our data, they monetize it, and they sell it on, and they use it to sell us more stuff. We want to stop that. So in order to stop that, we have to give them something else. And so what we give them is this new revenue stream from this passive yield, so that they don't have to go on and abuse our data.
And the revenue stream from the yield, what is that generated in? Is that the underlying payments, if they pay in USDC or stablecoin, or does it get converted to algo, or will it be in VEND token? How are you guys determining the yield for these systems, and what will it be distributed?
Yeah, so so any exchange on our platform, we take the fee in the originating currency, we ship it over to our AMM, we convert it into VEND, and then we split that with the wallet holders. And so rewards are in VEND, but VEND has pairs with every asset that we have on the wallet. So it's completely liquid with any other asset. So you could exchange it for whatever you choose.
Gwin, is the VEND token a governance token, or is it a yield generation token, or is it both?
Yeah, we hadn't talked much about that, but there is definitely a governance side of it, and that's part of our token offering, where we will offer that and nominate delegates. And as Doug was saying earlier about the decision-making process, because we want to be agnostic and in our approach. So yeah, we will be. The governance side is definitely the direction there.
Yeah. when I was speaking about the foundation, so the way that will work is Vendible will nominate short-term appointments to the foundation, and then our token holders will vote whether they actually get to take that position. And so then the foundation gets to audit us and make those tough decisions that I spoke about. And also any key decisions revolving around the tech, around management of the platform. We really want the community to have a say in the decision-making process. We want this to be an open build with the community, so that they see every step of the way what it is we're doing, what's the plan, what's the next step. Have your say, have your vote, and we're going to ask. We think the best way to make sure that we're successful is just to ask the people that will use the product what they want, and then just follow them.
Yeah, that's one of the best things about kind of this decentralized mission of blockchain, is that I love when developers go straight to the community. Hey, what do you guys want? And then they just go and build it. That's a great thing. Vendible, it seems like it's going to create a lot of data or hold a lot of data. Question is, will all this data be stored on chain, or is some of it stored off chain? And is it difficult to manage so many different accounts that you guys are going to be creating, vaults, AMMs, trades? What's on chain, what's off chain, and how difficult is it to manage a mounting pool of data?
Yeah, so so data is in Orbit DB. So essentially another chain. So they're both, data's on chain, transactions are on chain, because we need it to be open, but it's just that it's encrypted, so no one can access it without permissions. Our CTO, who will be coming on in the next month or so, this is his specialty. He is running he's executive at a large bank, and managing high throughput transactions, massive data sets. We're talking about trillions of transactions a day. And so following those models so that we can scale, because like I said, like Gwin said, we do want to reach, somewhere down the road, the conversations with enterprise customers will come into play, and they're going to expect that we have the exact same performance or better than they're used to right now.
Yeah, you guys are going to be one of the first, if not the first, company offering encrypted services on Algorand, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So our very first product is essentially data ownership type product. So we want to allow people to mint NFTs inside their wallet. And what's different is that the actual image will be encrypted. And so only the owner or the creator can see it. We create a second preview image that has a watermark that can then be shared across socials. And so, and then in the marketplace, when there's a purchase, it's not just the asset that's transferring, it's also the data rights. So now the new owner is the only one that can see it. You can lock your wallet out, view it full screen, display it in a gallery if you want to, but for certain nobody has copied and pasted that, put it on another network, profited off your work, or reduce the value of your asset because it's just everywhere. Because right now it's just a right click and I'm gone. And so we need to ensure that, yes, there's a hash that says that this URL belongs to me. Okay, but then if I just upload that again, I've got another hash somewhere else. It does that weaken it? It takes, right now, what it takes is the whole community validating these things. And we just want to put, protections in place so that there's not so much wasted energy. We want the community celebrating the artist and celebrating these pieces and not having to track down and say, well, no, this is a fake, and researching and all this. It's a lot of wasted energy, which kind of comes back to my roots in sustainable systems. We want it to scale, and you can't scale if everybody's always having to hunt down where the next fake is. And
there's another interview that we'll do that gets into intelligent intelligent NFTs, where there's plenty more applications for us there as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, Gwin and Doug, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really excited to see what you guys come out with. Do you have an idea of when we'll see the first product from you guys?
Yeah. So like Gwin said, we have a massive wait list waiting to get on. This month we're bringing on the winners of our contest. Next month we're going to bring in a pretty large chunk to really stress test our system, and then looking towards post demo day from the accelerator, really ramping up the speed at which we onboard everyone. And then once they get in, we'll have releases that we periodically put out with educational materials and the ability for them to anonymously give us feedback, so that we can make sure that we're building the best thing possible.
Okay.
Because
Gwin,
once they're
on,
we can't see them. So we have to build a system just to get feedback.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
And so say next few months, Q1, Q2, we're going to see a big development from you guys. I'm really excited for that.
And the first thing you guys the wallet is very close to being ready now. So we can kind of give you a glimpse of that before not too long, because we understand the importance of speed. So that's just around the corner.
Yeah, it is. I mean, especially on Algorand right now, there's a gold rush going on, for people just to get out and put something out and give the community something to work with and something to play around with. And I think companies who are first to that have a really, really successful time, especially at the beginning. So yeah, really excited to see what you guys come out with. Thank you so much for coming on. And yeah, come back anytime. And you got any updates, please, feel free.
Will do.
Awesome.
Right.
Thanks for pushing Vendible too. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Go Vendible. Let's go. All right. Thanks, guys. Talk soon.